printing. We're going to talk about how to properly 3D print trines and final dentures. It's important to mention that we're going to be basing our video in the DENTCA 3D printer. However, the printing process is pretty much the same for every 3D printer, so it can serve as a pretty good template of what you need to do when 3D printing either a trine or a final denture.
Preparing the files. Download the files into the computer you'll be doing printing and open up the DENTCA software. Open up the files by clicking on Open and then select the desired files. It is important to ensure that they fit within the square. You can move the denture bases around to ensure they fit within the building plate. You can move the angle of the denture base by selecting one of the dentures and then clicking on the curved arrow button to open up a menu that allows you to change the position of the denture on the X, Y, and Z axis. It is recommended that you place the denture at an angle between 20 and 30 degrees with the two sockets facing up. After positioning, click on the button below the curved arrow to generate the support. It's important to adjust the values for density, height, and thickness to the ones shown on the screen. Making them too long can increase the printing time. Once ready, click on Generate Supports. After generation, click on Edit Supports. In this mode, you can rearrange the existing supports by moving the green dots around. Delete existing supports by selecting them and clicking the delete button on your keyboard, or creating new supports by clicking on a blank area. Clicking on a particular support will change it from green to red to show which one you are working on. Rearrange the supports to create a design similar to the one on the screen. For the maxillary base, you want to have all supports concentrated on the palette in 3 rows of 4 supports each, or have the supports on the borders but none on the rest of the intaglio. You can use the right sliding bar to know how many supports you have per area to determine if the base has enough support. If support is insufficient, the printing could collapse. If you add too many supports, you will spend more time post-processing. Once adjusted, click on Apply Supports. Repeat the same steps on the lower arch. When creating supports on the mandibular arch, ensure to create additional ones on the posterior area to increase stability to the denture. Once all supports have been generated, click on the same button below the arrow and click on Add Base Support. It is recommended that you then adjust the width and length of the base plate by clicking on the double arrow and adjust the plate size to save up material. When finalized, your design should look like this. It's highly recommended to save your design in case you want to reprint for the future. For the teeth, load up all tooth files following the same procedure and arrange them with the occlusal surface facing up. It's important to arrange the inclination of the teeth so they are close to the base as possible, in order to save printing time. It is also recommended to arrange them on a single line for easy printing and alignment. Once finished, generate the supports and edit them so the lower anterior incisal teeth have one support on the lingual and one on the facial. Canines should have additional support on the distal section. Once finished, apply supports and generate the base as established in the previous part of the tutorial. As for the posterior teeth, ensure the supports are evenly spread around the border of the base, adding extra supports as needed. Molars should have around 5 supports and premolars should have around 4 supports. The maxillary anterior teeth should have 4 supports per teeth, with 1 additional on the distal of the canine teeth. Once all bases and supports have been generated, align them on the side of the plate and save the files as one tooth file, following the same naming convention as the files you received from DENTCA. When finished, your design files should look like this. If doing a trine, follow the same steps as the ones described for the denture-based support generation. When setting up, ensure that the teeth are facing up and place them on a 3 to 4 degree angulation. When finished, your design file should look like this. Printing process. Turn the printer on and screw in the resin tank in the printer if you haven't done so yet. Make sure you shake the bottle prior to pouring it in the tank. Fill out the tank with a desired tooth or gum shade to about 1/3 of the tank's capacity. If you would like to find specific volume amounts of liquid for each print in order to minimize material waste, please refer to the standard operation procedure for more information. Once ready, connect the building plate and close the lid. Connect the USB cable corresponding to the printer you're using to the computer. If you have more than one printer, ensure you select the correct cable and open the software corresponding to that printer. Select the type of material you will be using, then load the files you are printing. If printing teeth, it is recommended you put them on one side of the plate and alternate sides between prints to ensure you lengthen the life of your resin tanks, as they have a limited number of uses. Once ready, click on the print icon and then click on Generate. If done correctly, your printing should start and say uploading, followed by printing starts. Once you see the timer, unplug the USB cable and make sure you do not open the lid until it finishes, as printing will stop and you will have to start from scratch.
Post-processing. Once you have 3D printed your base and your teeth, let's take a look at how to bond them together as well as post-curing and polishing.
Post-print processing. Once printing is done, open the lid and carefully remove any excess liquid on the printing plate with the plastic brush. Be careful to ensure the liquid falls inside the resin tank, as it could otherwise fall in the space between the tank and the printer and damage the lens. Remove the printing plate and, utilizing a metal spatula, separate the printed object from the printing plate. It's important you do so carefully to avoid scratching the printing plate as much as possible. Once separated, cut the supports off the denture base by using clippers. The easiest way to do this is to work your way around the external supports and then carefully breaking the base off to expose the internal supports. Leave the denture bases soaking on isopropyl alcohol for 5 minutes and clean them with a brush and then rinse them with water. Try to remove as much of the printing material residue as possible. The bases should become less sticky as you progress in cleaning them. Repeat the same steps with the teeth, being careful not to damage the teeth as the supports will be very close to the neck. Proceed to leave them on IPA and clean them with a toothbrush and water. Remove any excess supports from the base of the teeth and the denture intaglio with a slow speed handpiece and an acrylic burr. Make sure to pay special attention to the neck of the teeth as they have to connect smoothly into the denture base sockets. Once finished, wash everything one more time with IPA and dry with an air blower, then prepare for bonding. Clean the build plate, ensuring to remove any polymerized material that may be locked between plate walls, and rinse it up with IPA, then dry it up. The better you take care of your plates, the longer their life will be. Place the excess denture base and tooth material to containers that block out light so they can be reused for another print. The material can be reused 2 to 3 times before disposing. It's recommended to filter the material to remove any polymerized residues that may be in the liquid prior to storing and cleaning the resin tank with IPA. Curing and post-curing. Pour some of the base material in a container and apply the same color denture base material to the tooth sockets in the denture base, making sure it's evenly spread as you work through the sockets. Set the teeth over the denture base, then one by one bond them with a curing light for 20 seconds. Make sure to remove any material excess prior to curing. Utilizing the printing liquid and a microbrush, build up the interdental papillas to make the denture more aesthetic and create a continuity effect between the base and the teeth. Repeat the same steps for the rest of the teeth. Once finished with the posterior teeth, make one occlusion check and proceed to bond the anterior teeth. Once finalized, make a final occlusion check and store the remaining material as directed before. For post-curing, submerge the dentures in glycerine. Make sure the dentures stay fully submerged by placing a glass slab on top. Place them in the curing unit for 20 minutes and then, with a set of pliers, flip them around and leave them for another 20 minutes. Be careful when doing this as the glycerine will be hot. Please note curing times may vary depending on your curing unit's brand and model. Once done, wash the dentures. They should look like this. Finishing and polishing. Once the dentures are done curing, wash them with water and soap, dry them and polish them with pumice and a wet polishing lathe at slow speed. When polishing, make sure to use an abundant amount of pumice and to avoid the tooth areas. More importantly, it's essential to avoid polishing the intaglio surface, as over-polishing these areas might affect retention. If needed, choose smaller plastic discs to clean the intaglio area. If certain areas are difficult to polish, switch to a smaller lathe for better access. This is especially important on the palate area. Once finished, wash the dentures and place them on the ultrasound cleaner for 5 minutes. Then rinse them to remove any pumice residue. Apply polishing paste and polish with a dry lathe at slow speed for a final high shine look. Again, it's very important to avoid the tooth and intaglio areas and to avoid applying too much pressure. This could scratch the denture. When finished, wash your dentures one last time to remove all the paste residue and prepare them for packaging. When finished, your dentures should look like the ones on the picture.